Welcome back to the channel, guys. As I said in the video before, my next video was going to be sort of like a beginner's video or a beginner's tip guide for new players or people that maybe watch my channel that haven't played this game, but they've played other games that I've played. I was going to put a lot of work into prepping the video and going into making sure I got certain topics covered and stuff, but considering there's only like 30 people at best maybe following what we're doing in this game at the moment, I don't want to put that much energy into the video. I'd rather just BS it, and then in the future we can update it. So from scratch, I want to start with basically the basics that I've come to with this game. Up in the top left corner, also, by the way, I only play on mobile, so if you're playing on some sort of computer emulator, I can't help you with details of differences in whatever differences there are, because I haven't played on the computer. But in the top is basically the buttons. This is your home face after you download the game. Down here in the bottom, these are the quests. You want to be doing those every single day if possible. You can flip them once a day. You want to get 750 gold, but what you don't want to do, what I feel like the most important thing on here that I've learned so far is time management. You don't want to waste your time, especially if in real life you got stuff to do. Maybe you got a job, maybe you got kids, maybe you got school. You just don't have time to, play hour-long games of Magic. So if Magic's telling you got to win 15 games in a day and it's taking you an hour to win a game, not even counting how long it's taking you to lose a game, it's going to become something that you don't end up doing. You'll be like, oh, I don't have time to do it, and you won't do it. So what you really want to do is get into a groove of making things faster. I have taken some notes that I'm going to pop up on the screen at some point in here that'll probably overstep what I'm already talking about, but basically I'm just talking about these quests here. Get your rewards, get your gold, get as much of the gold as you can. There is definitely not the same amount of gold going to be accessible for everyone, but there almost is, meaning if you maximize, you got your gold, I think it's 1,500 you can get in a day, but on average people are going to get 1,000 a day would be my guess. But really where it comes, the most important thing in this game isn't how much gold you can collect, it's how well you can convert that gold into other resources, which I myself haven't done yet, so I'm not the best person for advice on that, but I've definitely saved up some gold. I haven't been playing 37 days, and we have 37,000 gold. So I would definitely say, on average, expect 1,000k gold a day. Once you get into the app, though, you follow the tutorials, you follow, I think what they have is called a color challenge that shows up, and you can only do it like once a day for like the first week that you play the game, and then it unlocks all the starter decks for you. But as you go, I think you progressively unlock starter decks. So if you're new and you're going to play, my first advice would be unlock as much free new stuff as you can. Basically be clicking around on every icon you can and seeing what it says to do to get more free stuff, because you can lock yourself out in the game, meaning you can do everything that's available that's free, to where the only thing left to do would cost you gold or gems. Alright, so when you come to the play button, basically I work around these three icons up here. There's a flag, a table, and then I guess a banner. The flag is all of the events, I guess, that are up at the moment that you can play in, and that changes. And then on the right you can pick if you want just certain types of events or whatever. The table is where you can pick the style of game you want to play. I myself only play standard. I don't play alchemy, I don't play historic, I don't play explorer, and I don't even know what bot match does. But I do know that they're not all the same, meaning here is the row of ones where you can basically play for fun or test ideas, and then this is where you're basically trying to win so that you can get better rank, and then I assume this is commander and some other formats I don't know anything about. But please note that just because I don't play all these other formats does not mean that if one pops up here and it's free to play, meaning maybe it doesn't even, it just lets you join, it doesn't have a fee to join, I will definitely do it no matter what format it is in. And then this banner is just your most recent, I guess it's considered to be your favorites. So basically that's the button configurations that I work with. I don't have very many friends, I got one person on there, so my friends is pretty much irrelevant, and I don't use the settings, and I haven't challenged anybody since I don't have friends yet. So The beginner's guide right there that's all you really need to know is the home button, the quest icons at the bottom, how to find yourself games, and then the profile I think is pretty useless to me in the beginning so far. It basically just, lets me change my sleeves. I think my emotes, my avatars, I don't have any emotes, but you can see my rank. I did make it into Mythic, and I haven't done a single draft yet since I've been playing on this account, which I will do, and I plan to live stream it maybe in the next week. So if you're following the channel, you might want to watch that. I'll put my ugly mugshot on the screen. Again, still only using my phone until in the future when I buy a PC that I can at least use for a streaming platform. But without farther ado, I guess, let me jump into, oh yeah, I cannot personally give the best advice on, let's say I pick a deck. This little deck builder is a very great tool, and being able to search items, like let's say I want to search for something that has first strike, okay? Maybe I'm losing all of my creatures in battle or something, and I want some first strike. You can come up in here and you can type like first strike, and it'll bring up the cards that contain that. Now the levels of this search go beyond that. Like, it gets crazy. You can start putting colon marks in there, dashes in there. So I don't know anything about that, but I do know that there's probably videos out there that explain how to better use that search. But that search becomes incredible when being able to brainstorm deck ideas. Like, maybe you're building a deck and you need something, like, oh, I just went and I played a couple of games and I got beat, and you're asking yourself every game, like, why am I getting beat? And it's because, I'm just running out of life. I don't have any way to make the life back once I lose it, so they just end up getting me with these little junk cards along the way. Yeah, okay, so maybe you need some life gain. Well, then you could just come right back to your deck builder, go to your deck and be like, alright, I want to check all the colors that work for my deck, and then I want to go life gain, like, and then if you don't see life gain, or you can type life link probably, like, it's the same concept, but the idea is that in real life, if you wanted to go through your card collection, you would have to pull out like a binder full of cards, and if you wanted to know where the ones that had a life link, good luck. You had to turn the pages and scan and look for the word lifelink. You couldn't just organize your book and be like, oh, I'm going to put all my lifelink creatures together. Why? Because then as soon as you want to know like where all my creatures are, like, it's just, it's so hard to explain, but I can't even put words around the power of difference that makes in just brainstorming. Yeah, basically just in brainstorming. So without getting even more off topic than I already am going off topic, I'm going to go and turn to the couple of note cards that I did bring along for this video. Alright guys, so the first card that I had, basically I already went over, which is make sure you're getting all of the free cards, make sure you're collecting as much gold as possible, and basically just make sure you're collecting all the rewards that you can. Like, if you don't spend real money, then you're not going to get as many rewards, but still, collect every reward that you can in the game. I think that is great advice for starting out on this app. Alright, so let me see what other cards I had. Alright guys, yeah, so something that I cannot stress enough, especially considering that I've played Magic on and off most of my life, and there were plenty of times where I played Magic all day long with friends. I'd like to state that practice does not make perfect. Like, you can play Magic for 20 years, you can practice playing Magic, meaning you can play endless amounts of games, and still suck at Magic. Like, the only way you actually get to be a better player at almost anything is by analyzing your current status and making growth on it. So, like, the easiest way that I would suggest for a beginner or a new player to do that is basically make sure you have a reason, or even more than that, make sure you have a good reason when you do anything on the game. Like, don't just play a creature because you have 3 mana and the creature costs 3 mana. Like, play the creature because you need to play the creature, or you have a reason for playing the creature. Like, make sure everything you're doing, you have a reason, so that way, at the end, when you win or lose, you then have a pile of reasons to go back and look at and analyze and figure out, like, what it was that allowed you to win. I mean, you can go and win 20 games in a day, and if you literally were just patting yourself on the back every win, like, yeah, I'm the best, and going on, then you weren't learning anything and you weren't actually growing. And then that throws you into the category where the only time you're actually growing is when somebody's defeating you and you got to go make changes because you're tired of being defeated. So therefore, that is also good too, is why are you losing? Which a lot of times people only want to, to work when it benefits them. So they don't ever ask why they're winning. They always ask why they're losing, because while they're winning, they're basically just cheering and bragging and saying good game to the other guy. They're not actually analyzing what did I do in that game that allowed me to win, or how was I able to better execute that game than in a previous game, like what cards better suited me that game than in previous games. Like, you really have to spend time doing that breakdown. And if the only time you're spending in Magic is just going into one game, win or lose, going into another game, win or lose, going into another game, win or lose, and then getting pissed off that you've been on your game for 3 hours and still haven't completed your daily quest, yeah, that's not the advice I give to a new player. The new player I'm saying is, keep asking questions, man. Analyze every little thing. And it's usually not that your opponent's cards are better or that the shuffler doesn't work. It's usually that your ideologies need changed, or your way of going about something needs reworked. Like, I guess there's that old school saying that Einstein, doing the same thing over and expecting different results is basically, I don't know, I can't remember the saying, is stupidity or something like that. But anyway, that's basically my point on that, is constantly question. It's not just good advice for this game, it's good advice for games and life. Like, you got to analyze everything. Alright, so let's see what else there is. I know I don't have many of these cards. I think there was only like 4 total. Alright, yeah, so another good note card that I have here for what I would say is basically just for starting players or people who are on a budget, like free-to-play players. Meaning, if you're spending plenty of money, then it's probably not going to be something you want to hear at all. But it's to keep it simple, man. Like, I can't say it enough that simple cards played good is simply good Magic. Like, if you're playing simple cards good, then you're playing good Magic. Like, that'll get you to wins in this game for your day. Meaning, there are people who will complain about whether or not they got enough lands or whether the shuffler got them. It's like, you want to reduce the amount of things that are outside of your control that are going to damage you, like the shuffler. So if you can't control the shuffler, you can at least control the cards you put in your deck so that the shuffler can never screw you. Like, of course, anybody can get screwed where you draw 7 lands in a row or something. Like, that's beyond the point. But what I'm getting at is that there's a lot of times where players can have, like, great cards and they don't want to not run them. They're like, oh, I gotta run this 4-drop, mythic rare, I have to. And then they'll keep hands where they've got nothing to do, for the first 2 turns, or they don't even have the right color manas to go with the cards that they kept, all because they're like, if I can just land this mythic on turn 4, I'm going to do amazing. And it's not necessarily the case, man. Meaning, you can steal wins from people just being mad that they didn't get their 3rd land and they just concede. Meaning, like, they keep a 2-land hand on their opening hand, and then the 3rd turn they'd never caught a land in 1st turn, 2nd turn, and now their 3rd turn they're gonna miss their land drop and they can't play the 2-3 drops in their hand, and instead of even sitting around and waiting to see if they get the land next turn, they just quit. They just concede. Like, that doesn't happen to anyone else. Like, they're the only player on the planet that ever happens to. Like, the whole idea is to reduce your chances of that happening to you. Meaning, if you've got incredible cards in your deck, then you've got incredible room for error to happen. Meaning, you can not be the best player, make a bunch of mistakes, or not keep the best hands, or get screwed by the shuffler and still come back in a losing game and win. Versus, if you're a new player, your options are sort of limited. So how about cutting out the ability for you to get, like, screwed by the game? So, like, keep it simple, meaning, you know, curve out, one drops, lots of one drops. Why? Because you're always going to keep a one land hand, right? You're always going to have at least 1 or 2 mana in your hand. So if you're going to have 1 and 2 mana in your hand, then put a lot of 1 and 2 drop spells in your deck. So that no matter what, you're always going to have some lands and some cards to play. Meaning no matter what, in every single game of Magic, you at least get to play some manas and tap something and do something with good reason. And then figure out why you got beat and start making adjustments like I've previously talked about. So yeah, the easiest way to do that, I think, when starting out is to just assess all of the cards that you get from the starter decks, all of the cards that you get from your rewards, whether it be from putting in codes or opening packs that you won. You take all of your cards and you assess them into single colors. You don't start going, oh, I got a bunch of nice blue cards, nice white cards. It's not that hard to get white and blue mana, let's put them together. Just don't do it. Like, it's not worth it. Just stick to running all your cheapest blue cards, all your cheapest white cards. Put them all in your first deck. Just put all cheap ones, all some lands, throw them in there, and then start from there and make adjustments. But do not think that on a budget with starter deck cards and a couple rares, maybe less than a handful of staple standard rares, you're going to be able to, like, be playing late game control, unless you're hiding behind cheap counter magic, you know? So again, there's gonna be, you know, exceptions to every rule. I'm not trying to give you a rule, I'm just trying to give you some advice. You want my advice, if you want success early, you want to win quick, you want to get your rewards, just play single colors and rotate your color. Yeah, there's definitely only one more card, I believe. Alright, yeah, good. Time is of value, especially when farming wins, guys. Like, the game has best of ones, the game has best of threes, and what that means is you can play like a 1 game with a person and whoever wins wins, or you can play 3 games with a person and whoever wins the most games in those 3 wins. But that only counts as 1 win. So again, if it takes you an hour to beat someone in a best of 3, and it takes you an hour to lose to someone in a best of 3, and you only got a 50% win rate, then we're talking about 2 hours for you to get a win. And if you're even doing the bare minimum in this game, which is 4 wins a day, that's talking 8 hours of playing. That's not happening. You might as well go play MTG online. Like, and just spend all money because you don't have time. Time is a value, meaning if you are going to play this game, it gets a little deeper than just best of 1s and best of 3s. Meaning, I myself personally, I would love to play best of 3s because I want to play something that supports player skill over luck. And I'm not saying that best of 1 is all about luck. I'm saying it's more about luck than best of 3, I feel like. I feel like player skill gets more chance to shine in a best of 3. But when I come to this app, all I'm doing is playing best of 1. Why? Because nothing is on the line important enough for me to worry about it being best of 3. All that's on the line is me doing my daily quests and me trying to profit rewards. So when I'm trying to profit rewards, I want to win as many games as I can as fast as I can. So that's what got me into playing simple Magic monocolored decks. It's got me playing aggro decks. Why? Because I want to know in the first 5 minutes. I want to be able to take a stopwatch and sit it next to me when I start a game of Magic with somebody and say, go on that stopwatch and look back at that stopwatch when it says 5 minutes. And I want to know, am I winning this game of Magic or am I wasting my time? Because I should know 5 minutes into a game of Magic, am I wasting my time or am I winning this game of Magic? Now, if you're going to make your arguments like, oh, I need to draw this card and I need to draw that card, well, that's what was going on before in every turn, right? Was you needed this and needed that, and they needed this and needed that. The results is, here we are 5 minutes later, are you winning the game of Magic, or are you not sure, or are you going to, like... Are you wasting your time? Because if you are, just concede. There's not enough conceding in this game, I don't think. When I sit and I'll be playing against somebody where I know they're dead, I can't even imagine what they're going to do, but I can't kill them. It's going to take me like 5 turns to kill them. To me, that's called dead man walking in any game that you play. It means you're screwed no matter what. You're hoping your opponent's going to make a misplay, mess up the ability to close you out, and maybe you're going to get back in it like chess or something. But in this game, you just need to concede, man. Your time is not worth it. Meaning, if you're going to play somebody best of 1s, and then the games where you're like, oh, I'm almost winning, and then my opponent's almost winning, and then I'm almost winning, and then they're almost winning, and then, oh, man, they finally got me. They got lucky. They drew that card they needed. I'm dead. Okay, yeah, you're also 30 minutes of your life gone, and you don't even have a win to show for it, and you were playing best of 1s. Whereas even a person with a 20% win rate could have went and played 5 games of Magic in that time and lost 4 of them. But who cares, because they still won 1. So they got the same result as you. Even though my guess would be you're probably getting better at Magic because you're analyzing and earning that win and working really hard for it. But don't neglect the fact that time is a value, meaning if it takes you 2 years to learn how to play your lands, I'd say the chances of you winning a giant tournament is probably going to, need some reevaluation of what it is that makes you better. Like, why aren't you growing faster? Like, I'm not saying that, playing to win is right for everyone, but look, we play this game to have fun. And I don't know about you guys, but losing is not fun to me, so therefore I play to win. I'm play to have fun, and I play to win. It's the same thing. Winning is fun to me, losing is not. So that wraps up my cards here. Let me go back to my account. Alright, so yeah guys, that is my personal advice from Lost Jumper here on the Edward Allen Walsh channel. That is coming from a standard-only player. That doesn't mean that I don't play other formats. It means that I only focus my true brain potential and energy, the food that I eat, and I convert it to progress. I do that in the standard department, meaning eventually my end game on here would be to own all the cards because I can make profit doing standard events and just buy the stuff that I'm missing or buy packs to open up the, wild cards, whatever, eventually complete all the cards. So from what I've accomplished so far in less than 1 month playing this game, man, maybe like, I don't know, it feels like 2.5 weeks, getting closer to 3 weeks. I'm not exactly sure. You can follow the channel in the future and we'll figure it out. But when we look back, we've been playing a year because I don't see us making tons of progress quick on this game. I expect this game to be slow, but that's why there's more to this game than just how good you can smash people. It's also about collecting cards, completing the sets, so that's another big thing that you're not going to be able to get a lot of advice from me on. I'm basically going to be giving budget advice on my channel, meaning if you go to work and you make money and you think about standard decks and you want to play standard all the time, when you come to my channel, I hope that while I was busy playing standard while you were at work and getting beat up and analyzing my games, I was learning what underrated cards were able to perform. And by underrated, I just mean stuff that's not, uncommon wild cards or common wild cards. Trying to stay away from the rares. Trying to basically look at people who have a problem and saying, oh, I got this great deck, but I just get hemmed up every time my opponent plays blah, blah, blah card. And then being like, oh, well, have you tried this blah, blah, blah uncommon? And then being like, oh, no, I haven't. And then them go craft like 3 of that and put it in their deck and all of a sudden be like, oh my god, you're a lifesaver. I don't have a problem with that card anymore. Exactly. That's where I want to head with my channel when it comes to giving advice. But this video is basically ground zero. All I did was use 4 note cards. The rest is just, even the note cards, I just BS while I'm looking at the note card, what comes to my mind. I'm not one for usually reading off anything while talking, and basically the reason why I don't put my face on every video is because I'm not that sexy, but at the same time I understand that people, want to look at people's noses while they're, running their mouth on video games. So if you heard me earlier in the video, I told you I plan to draft. If you look at the profile, I've only done success in constructed rank. I haven't done anything in limited. And if you click it, it says you have to, I think, or maybe you have to hold, yeah, it says you must play at least 1 draft. Okay, well, the draft's not free for me, so that's 5k coins, so you might as well just say I got 32k coins. But in the next video on this channel, you can look forward to me basically breaking down my mono red deck and probably running a couple of games in Mythic with it. And then maybe, doing I'll probably be another account upgrade, showing you the rares that I've unlocked. It'll probably be on Monday. So yeah, that's where I'm at with what's going on in this channel. I hope this video helps new players. Now again, if you're brand new to the game and you barely know how to play Magic, then that's okay. You can play the tutorial and you can just keep on doing the first tip that I gave you, man. Just do as many of the tips that I gave you as you can to the best as you can, meaning just because you suck doesn't mean you can't analyze and every day be a better player than you were yesterday. And then another free-to-play gem of information that I've carried with me in these mobile games without spending any money is that you always want to try to make more out of less instead of making less out of more. So basically, you know, don't look to spend your wild cards to solve problems. Look to re-evaluate your card base and use different cards that you may or may not have been using better. So that way by the time you spend a wild card, it's literally been pried from your fingers, your arm was twisted behind your back, and the wild card was stolen from you by a card. And that's the way it should be. Anyway guys, this video has gotten pretty long for just a ramble, so stay tuned for more vids on this game in the future, and hopefully I can climb up that rank in the 83rd. I guess that means I'm in the top 83% of Mythic players. I look in the next month to hopefully be getting into the top players and getting a number ranked, so stay tuned. Later.